What's cracking, everybody? XehrFelrose here, bringing you some Pokemon GO Battle League content, and in today's video, we're taking a look at what I believe is the strongest core and team for Annihilape in the Ultra League, given the current meta, and that's going to be with Pidgeot and Greedent in the back. Pidgeot and Annihilape make a very strong core, as Annihilape really struggles with fairies, struggles against things like Cresselia, other ghost types, but it does fairly well and is neutral into a lot of other things. So when you're team building around Annihilape, you want to make sure that you're running things that counter those two, especially the ghost and fairy types. So we've got Pidgeot is our closer in this team. Greedent is the safe swap because it just is the best safe swap in the entire Open Ultra League. So let's get into these battles and see how Annihilape performs in the Ultra League with this strong team. Getting into our first battle, we got Tapu Fini, and this is bad, so I gotta go straight to Greedent. And then my opponent comes in with a they come in with a freaking Talonflame. And it is at this exact moment that I'm thinking that there's a solid chance this trainer is just playing a completely triple anti-Annihilape team. And that's what you'll see in the Ultra League, is people are trying to play like triple anti-Poliwrath. A lot of the same things that beat Poliwrath also beat Annihilape. So you may see these trainers playing just, triple hard counters to it, which is normal. Albeit a little bit sad as I'm trying to play the Annihilape, and there's teams out there that are just completely shutting it down, but that's what you do, right? If you don't have the good new thing, then you try to find ways to beat it, and trainers are finding ways to beat it, and that's always good. So, excuse me, my opponent comes back in with the Tapu Fini, and this kind of tells me that, like, even more so, that I don't really have what I need. They're gonna have an answer to Annihilape in the back. I don't know what it is yet. Could be Cresselia, could be another flying type, could be one of many things. And truth be told, you guys are gonna see it in the coming battles. This really should have ended up being a Pidgeot feature, because Pidgeot is just incredible in the current Ultra League meta. I put it in the back because there's a lot of a lot of fighting teams in the back. Now, unfortunately, I'm not able to make my move here. I was kind of hoping I'd be able to make it to that move, but also not going to be able to get the body slam either. So, gonna have to shield up this move. I cannot let my Annihilape come in against this Talonflame, and the opponent gonna be able to go for, excuse me, a fly here, and then I'm gonna be able to get my body slam off before going to the Incinerate. Opponent lets it go, and they got a Guillotine on the back, and I got absolutely nothing that I can do against this Guillotine, as it's got Shadow Claw. I don't even think I have a chance against one with Dragon Breath, because I have to basically land 2 Shadow Balls, and it's not happening. I go for an Ice Punch bait because, I don't know, man. I kind of already resigned that I've lost this game, so I'm going to go ahead, and I'm just going to top left after this, I'm pretty sure, because I don't really... I got nothing, man. This trainer just completely shut down the Annihilape, and they got a game win out of it, and you know what? Good for them. That's good. You win games that way. Getting into the next battle, we got another Guillotine. I'm pretty sure Guillotine was in every single battle. I did these games in the 2400 elo ranges. I'm working on, climbing myself back up a little bit. And the opponent comes in with Guzzlord, which tells me they have absolutely no respect for Charm whatsoever, dude. Okay. They saw a Charm user in the lead. They're not really as common as you think anymore. But it's like, it's one of those things where, like, it feels so bad to disrespect it, because it's like, what do you do? Because it's so dominating when it comes out on the field. It's just like, you either got an answer or you don't, and if you don't, it's gonna be sad. So Greedent, though, putting a lot of work in this matchup, has already got the Guzzlord down low, as the opponent stayed in for a little too long here, trying to catch the crunch, I believe, on the Guzzlord, and just a little bit more patient. I was kind of expecting them to make a swap, so I overfarmed. Now my opponent has to give up their shield in order to take me out. Opponent's still not going for energy here, getting a bigger overfarm, so they're going to have to go for another shield or lose their Guzzlord. My opponent going 2 shields deep into the Guzzlord matchup, and I'm going to be able to come in with my Annihilape, eat 1 charge move, because Guzzlord's moves don't hit that hard. Excuse me, and then I'm going to be able to counter down with Annihilape. They don't even get a move off because they were trying to go for that extra Dragon Claw, and now Guillotine is going to come in, and because it's running Shadow Claw, my Pidgeot has a very good matchup here. Now, I know shield, because I'm pretty sure that this is not going to be Ancient Power, and if it is, I can tank 1. It's fine. But in this particular situation, all I have to do is make sure that I can get to enough energy to get to a Brave Bird and maybe a little bit more, and I will start shielding at some point here. I definitely don't want to let them get me too low, because I realize that this could be yet another triple anti-Annihilape team, but except, well, Their Guzzlord wasn't really anti-Annihilate, but for all I know, they have something in the back that's also anti-Annihilate. So I go for the Brave Bird here, so I recognize the opponent's Giratina is not going to be able to get to another move before I get to my second Brave Bird. I'm going to be able to take out the Giratina, and the trainer has a Trevenant in the back, so definitely an anti-Annihilate in the back here. But because it's Pidgeot, Pidgeot's going to be able to hit up this Brave Bird and go straight for the kill shot, and that is going to be a good game here. We're going to get a button out here on this Brave Bird. Boom! That's a good game. Well played. ABA Ghost, man. I can't wrap my head around it. Skeledirge on the lead is dangerous. I got to go into my greeting here. It's not a very good answer. Annihilape's not a very good answer to Skeledirge. My opponent comes in with a Wall Rain here after giving me an entire 5 Mudshot head start. Excuse me. I'm still working on that cough, and I don't know how long it's going to be here, so pardon me as I have to hack along up every once in a while. Trying my best not to, but man, it comes out of nowhere sometimes. Opponent farming up a ton of energy here. I have to be very careful of this because my Pidgeot in the back would not appreciate this Wall Rain at all. So opponent letting themselves get pretty low here, and then they're going to go for a charge move. If it's an Earthquake, great. If it's an Icicle Spear, great. I don't need to shield anything yet. I have plenty of HP, or I have plenty of HP left on my greeting, so I'm not worry about it. Now, this is going to force a shield off my opponent, and they're going to have to protect that Wall Rain. It's got a lot of energy. And I'm going to try to come in with my Annihilate, but my opponent is very quick on the draw here, and they go in with the Skeledirge, and I'm going to say, you know what? Fire your Shadow Ball, because I think they're going to throw a Disarming Voice. And they do. And that actually doesn't do a ton of damage. I'm going for 4 counters because that's technically the timing I should go for if I want to get within 2 Incinerates. Gonna just full send the Shadow Ball and eliminate my opponent's other shield. And the opponent, not realizing how much energy Annihilape has, is gonna go for another move when they could have probably farmed down, and that might be my saving grace here. As I should now be able to come in with my Pidgeot, I can go for a Brave Bird here, and I should be able to get there before they get to one more move. So I'm gonna go ahead and save some HP, gonna shield up the Disarming Voice, and then go for the Brave Bird after 2 wing attacks within that 1 Incinerate for good timing. Brave Bird, gonna KO the Skeledirge. Boom! And then I'm looking to swap immediately because I was wondering if my opponent was gonna bring in that Wall Rain. The Wall Rain is sitting in the back, it's loaded, it's got little HP, but my Pidgeot is no longer in a position to handle it, so I swap into my Greedent, and I'm gonna go for as many crunches as I can. I'm really hoping they just swap in the Wall Rain at this point, but I have to let this go. Opponent going for the Moonblast, KOs my Greedent, and then I have to come in with a Pidgeot, and somehow I have to be able to take out this Cresselia, and I have to save the shield for the Wall Rain because it has Icicle Spears loaded. Future Sight gonna take me low, and at this point I'm pretty much certain that I've lost. I'm gonna go for a Brave Bird here. I'm already super low. All the opponent has to do is come in and get an Icicle or a Powder Snow through, and that's going to be a good game. So, good game to my opponent here. They played this very well, and once again, another triple anti-Annihilate team. Which is really the only things that I think I lost to in these games. And we went 7-3, gained quite a good chunk of, 50 plus elo with this team. Opponent has a Golisopod, and this is what Pidgeot wants to see. I'm doing super effective damage with my flying type moves here, and that means I'm going to basically look to go for a Feather Dance, farm all the way down now. And I don't shield because I know I want to see how much damage Liquidation does. I actually haven't played Pidgeot recently, so I kind of wanted to see how much damage it would do. But now my opponent not going to be able to get to another Liquidation before I get a full farm down if this is a Liquidation, which it is. They're looking to lower my defense. Fortunately for me, I don't get a defense drop here, and I have a ton of energy. And even though Alolan Sandslash is a Steel type, it has Shadow Claw, and it just doesn't tank Brave Birds quite as well as you think it would. So we're going to go for Brave Birds and only Brave Birds here, looking to potentially take them out, going almost half of its HP. Oh, excuse me. I hate this so much. Gonna be able to almost take the Sandslash out. Looking to get a farm down here, but the opponent throws, and I'm going to shield this up because I feel like this is going to KO. Now, I realize now that it doesn't. I didn't think so, but my opponent actually has the Sandslash in the back. This whole time, I thought it KO'd the Sandslash. So I figure, okay, well, my opponent's got a Tentacruel, and this is actually not a bad matchup because of Annihilape's Ghost typing. It resists the Poison Jabs. I'm going to go for the Shadow Ball here. I was actually looking to swap out if I'd gotten debuffed, but I'm going to go for a Shadow Ball. I want to guarantee big damage of the shields here. My entire plan is just to get the Tentacruel out of here low enough so that I can get rid of it with my Greedent. Now, Greedent really doesn't need to do a whole lot here. I just need to get to I just need to get to a couple body slams after all this damage has been applied and we're good. I should have gone for a couple Ice Punch baits in hindsight, but I think that going for the Shadow Ball is still the safer move. My opponent outpaces me by 1 move. Unfortunately, I am going to have to go down and let my Annihilape go. But it's done its job. It's got the opponent's Tentacruel within range of being taken out by 2 body slams. So as I hack up another lung here, going for that body slam. Opponent gonna farm up energy. I don't know what if they're gonna go for the blizzard, but then they catch and I'm like, wait, the Sand Slash is still alive? Because I wasn't paying attention to it. I should have been, but I wasn't. So very, very nice catch by my opponent there. But unfortunately, the Tentacruel is too low, and even 2 Scalds is not going to be enough to make the KO here. So I'm going to go for the body slam, take the game, and that's going to be a good game to the opponent. Well played. At some point, we're going to be able to... There we go. Getting into the next battle, Annihilape into an XehrFelrose. This is actually not bad. And one thing that I often see is with XehrFelrose leads, there's going to be something like Poliwrath or something in the back that is technically weak to flying. So if I want my Pidgeot to have free reign of this back line, as I hope it will, I'm going to stay in. The opponent's going to go for a Trailblaze. I'm going to just go for Ice Punches here. Now that the opponent's attack has gone up, they may be more willing to shield to protect the XehrFelrose, and they do. So I'm going to go for some more counter damage here. I'm going to put up 1 more shield, or put up 1 shield of my own, rather. And Brutal Swing is going to be... So I know the moveset now. I can go for the Ice Punch. This will be enough to KO if I'm not mistaken. Ice Punch is only chip damage, but it does quite a bit because it's coming from Annihilape, and I get lead here. And then my opponent comes in with a Heracross, and I don't know what I was thinking, but I come in with my Greedent trying to bail out of Annihilape when I should have just stayed in, thrown a Shadow Ball or something, because I'm double resisting those counters, but instead, I, like a bozo, just bring in my Greedent. But like we said, though, the opponent is weak in the back to flying. So we're going to have to see what their third Pokemon is. I'm able to hang on to that Megahorn, by the way. And I'm going to be able to get off a Body Slam here. Opponent gets a counter down, so I'm going to come in with my with my Pidgeot here. Look to farm down, but the opponent is, because I get the 1 turn delay, we both get 3 fast moves, but they get to a charge move, which shouldn't have happened, but that's okay. And then the opponent comes in with Aggron, and I'm like, no, that's not weak to flying at all. What is this? So I'm going to go for the Feather Dance and make a very risky play. My Annihilape is super, super low on HP, but those smackdowns after that debuff are not doing very much, so it may as well be a Bastiodon here with no attack stat. I'm going to be able to get the counter down on the Aggron, and that's going to be a good game. I thought I was doomed for sure. Annihilape on the lead versus a Shadow XehrFelrose this time. Same game plan. Going to do very similar things here and look to go for Ice Punch here against this thing. Now, I'm going to go a little bit earlier because I'd like to get there before they get to a Trailblaze, just to see if I can pressure, make them make the first decision. The opponent just decides to let it go, and I'm going to look to catch a potential Trailblaze, or, I mean, they're not going to throw Focus Blast, so I'm safe with that. Opponent goes for the Trailblaze into the Greedent. I'm going to go and just go for as many Body Slams now as I can, because they come in with a Poliwrath, and this is typically what you'll see is the XehrFelrose in the lead and something weak to flying in the back, like a fighting type. So this is very, very common, and I know that Pidgeot can do fine against Poliwrath, but I still would like to pull it out just because it's Icy Wind and Scald makes it very difficult for Pidgeot to deal with. And even though Pidgeot technically wins the matchup, it's not very good in, you know, a long matchup. I would much rather get something else out on the field, like, for example, if they have an Annihilape in the back. So I'm going to go for a Shadow Ball here, but not before I miscount, and they get to an Icy... Well, they get to an Icy one first, then I get to the Shadow Ball. And I'm going to try and take this out, but the opponent puts up their shield as well. So I'm going to go ahead and let this go, because I was counting, and I thought it was just an Icy Wind, but apparently, no, it was a Scald. And so I still double resist the counters. They get the attack drop. Opponent goes into XehrFelrose, and I'm too low on Annihilape to stay in, so I have to come into my Pidgeot and farm down. And as painful as this is, it's necessary because the XehrFelrose was going to KO my Annihilape before I even got the chance anyway. And now the opponent has to come in with their third Pokemon. They come in with their Poliwrath. Then I know they're very weak in the back to Pidgeot, and they let me farm all the way down. There's an Annihilape back there, and it doesn't matter how much energy or how much energy they give me. Boom! It doesn't matter. Brave Bird KOs. Good game. That's the only Annihilape I've seen in Ultra League so far. Another Giratina. Here we go. So gonna go straight into Greedent again. Opponent's got Dragon Breath, and then they've got a Steelix in the back. This is very rough. I'm going to go straight crunch in this matchup. I'm going to just continue to rip off crunches. They've probably got like breaking swipe or something because that's what the Steelixes have. So I'm going to hope and pray that my debuff luck isn't so bad. But as always, it's 100% win against me. So I'm going to get the breaking swipe debuff and just going to go for crunches on good timing here. 1, 2, 3, 4 crunch, 1, 2, 3, 4 crunch, or let them throw depending on the timing. And I'm not getting a single defense drop, which would have been wonderful. Might have actually flipped this matchup for me if I'd been able to get one, but you know, RNG is not my friend, ever. So we're going to go for another crunch here, and I'm just going to continue to rip off these crunches. I'm going to keep going until the opponent or I give in, and then Annihilape's going to get some counters in and hope to get like an Ice Punch or a Shadow Ball in against that Giratina. Opponent's Steelix going to be able to get a Psychic Fangs in. Now the defense is down, and I think I have to go for a Body Slam here. So they get it, and I go for the Body Slam, and I think that I was going to get taken out, but the truth is, I am on 1 HP, and I could have gone for the crunch, but I didn't, and I could have flipped switch if I needed to, but unfortunately not going to be able to get there. The opponent is going to throw a Psychic Fangs here against my Annihilape. Going to do a little bit of super effective damage, but not too much, and I'm going to immediately come into my Pidgeot. The opponent staying in, throwing energy, makes sense. They did have some energy. They'd probably want to get rid of it. They're going to throw a Dragon Claw. I know that was way too quick for it to be Ancient Power, and so I'm going to look to go for the Feather Dance to try and lessen the amount of damage that they're doing to me, maybe make them want to swap out. So Feather Dance goes through, and the opponent swaps into a Cresselia, and this is a very dangerous game, as this is once again a, a very anti-Annihilape team, at least in 2 places. It's not always going to be triple anti-Annihilape, but the front and the back sure were unfortunate for the poor ape to not be able to do much here. So it's all riding on the grass, or on the Cresselia, and for some reason my opponent throwing Grass Knot here, and I can go for Brave Bird after that attack drop, and I'm fine to do it because I have 2 shields. I'm looking to make something happen. The opponent going to go for more energy here. I was going to try to swap in and catch that Grass Knot, but unfortunately didn't make it. So the opponent is going to throw Future Sight and make me very sad. And I'm just going to top left because I know there's no way I win that game. Getting into the next battle here, I've got a Cresselia on the lead. Again, not a great lead here as it beats Annihilape, but I'm going to go straight into green. My opponent staying in. I'm not sure if they're looking to stay in for this whole matchup or if they're looking to get some energy and swap, but I'm going to go for the crunch right away here and try to put some pressure and get some damage in. As any damage I can put on this crest hopefully makes Annihilape a little bit later in the game able to get to a Shadow Ball, or Pidgeot get to a Brave Bird, something that'll allow me to do some damage to this crest. Now, opponent's still staying in, and they are committing to this matchup, which means they maybe weaken the back to Greedent, which is interesting to me. So I'm going to stay in. I'm not going to shield anything here, as the Greedent outpaces the crunches. The opponent running double nuke on the crest. No Grass Knot to be found here. So I'm going to go for Greedent, going to get this crunch off. And then I'm going to look to go for a Body Slam if they no shield, because I'm going to be able to get rid of it. But opponent going to go for a swap here. And I see the swap happen, and my finger still goes for the Body Slam anyway, and it feels bad. But because they're running Shadow Claw, I can come in with my Pidgeot. Pidgeot is not going to take any meaningful damage from these fast moves, and I can go ahead and tank a couple Dragon Claws before I need to worry about anything. Now, a lot of the times, the Giratinas don't shield because they're like, throw a Brave Bird, I dare you. So I'm going to go for the Feather Dance first to try and neutralize the first defense drop, but I'm going to overfarm by a bunch here and look to go for a Brave Bird after some time has passed here, maybe a little bit closer to the switch timer going up, so that when I throw that Brave Bird, I can pivot out if I need to. Now, again, we've seen 2 anti-Annihilate picks on this team. So we're going to see what the opponent's got as their third. They swap immediately into Cresselia, and they've left themselves with low HP. This is a full farm down opportunity for my Pidgeot, which I'm going to take. And the opponent did take their debuff and throw it away, but they're going to come back in here with the Giratina, I do believe. We did these battles this morning. I think I remember what happens. Yeah, they're going to come in with the Giratina. I'm going to throw the Brave Bird immediately, and then I'm actually going to be able to take out the Giratina because they weren't at a move, and now their last remaining Pokemon is a Grand Bull. Oh boy, I'm debuffed. These Shadow Charms are going to hurt. So with that debuff, I'm coming in with Annihilape, the opponent running a triple hard counter team to Annihilape, and I'm going to go for Ice Punch here on as good of a timing as I can manage the swaps. I still struggle a little bit with those. I'm going to go for the Ice Punch to try and get the opponent's shield, but they don't shield, but I'm going to be able to get to another Ice Punch before getting charmed down, and now they have to shield this or they lose the game. And this is going to leave them with very, very low HP here. You can see even the counters adding up against this thing. The opponent maybe has enough energy for one move. I'm trying to get to this Body Slam, and thanks to the Feather Dance debuff from my Pidgeot, this Body Slam is going to take out the Grand Bull, and that's going to be a good game. Well played. And there's definitely, ways to play Pidgeot. It's always about tactful feather dancing. You never want to just do it to do it. Always threaten that damage, especially if you've got a situation where, maybe it's not time to Brave Bird yet, but you think that the Brave Bird will not get a shield because they think, oh, you just swapped in, why would you throw Brave Bird? Stuff like that. Dragon Breath Giratina on the lead, got a swap into green, and the opponent staying in here in this matchup. I'm over farming by quite a bit, and so are they. I'm just going to keep ripping off crunches here, as I would much rather have my Greedent on this Giratina than I would have the Annihilape. So I'm going to be able to get to multiple crunches here. Opponent finally throwing some energy here. Excuse me, and I'm going to be able to get to a crunch here right before the opponent gets to another move, as and then they're well over the energy needed for another Dragon Claw, and they go ahead and shield up, and I still don't need to shield anything here. One Dragon Claw is not going to be enough. They're going to have to throw two, which they are definitely at the energy for, but it's going to be up to them, and they throw right away. And so I'm thinking, if I no shield, hopefully I live, and if I don't, oh well. And unfortunately, it just is just enough to take me out. So I come in with Pidgeot, and what I'm looking to do here is I'm actually looking to farm this all the way down, as I'm starting to see how much fast move damage I'm applying to this Giratina. Figure if they're going to go for Ancient Power, then so be it. This is still worth a shield, and it was the Ancient Power, which is a huge farm down here for Pidgeot, because they have a Swampert in the back, and I'm going to go for a Brave Bird. The opponent may be thinking this is a Feather Dance, going to take them very low, and then I'm going to pop him with an Annihilape here as the opponent swaps in to their Golisopod, and this is a hard answer to Annihilape, but I'm still going to go for a Shadow Ball now. I mean, with as low as the Swampert, in hindsight, I should have baited with the Ice Punch and then gone for Shadow Ball, but one, I don't know this matchup yet. I didn't know if I was going to make it, and two, yeah, they're going to go for a farm down here. I could go for this. I should have gone for the Ice Punch first and gotten the shield and then Shadow Ball, but that's okay. Because at this range, I can go for a, if I want to, I go for a Feather Dance. I can go for really whatever I need to go for. But I'm saving my shield for the Swampert because they have no energy. And they have to get to 2 Hydro Cannons to KO, so they have to be able to survive 8 or 9 of these wing attacks. And so they're not going to be able to get to 2 moves, and that's going to be a good game, able to take out the Swampert. Well played to the opponent. Getting into the final battle of the set here. Got Annihilape against a Regirock. Shiny Regirock. Wonderful flex from the opponent. Really jealous of that shiny Regirock. They come in with a Galvantula, and I'm like, I don't know what to do against this thing. So I'm thinking now while I'm throwing this Ice Punch, because I want to get some chip damage, and I'll just come in with my Greedent here. I need to save my Annihilape for the Regirock, because those counters do add up, and Ice is neutral, Shadow Ball is neutral. So it's a good matchup, especially if they're running Stone Edge, Focus Blast. I'd completely wall their energy. If they're a Legacy Regirock running Earthquake, doesn't do as much damage as you would think. So I can still tank the energy just fine. The opponent going for lunges here, looking to try and limit the amount of damage that Greedent's going to be able to do at the end here. But since I know the round of energy, I can go for 5 Mud Shots to fit into those 3 Volt Switches. Go for the Body Slam. Opponent decides not to shield here. And I'm just going to go for as many Crunches and Mud Shots as I can before the opponent goes for energy, because they cannot lock on me down from this range. They will have to throw energy in order to KO. Gonna get a second Crunch, still no debuffs. I haven't seen a single debuff from Crunch in ages, man. I remember back when I used to play Shadow Drapion and I would see him like, 20-30% of the time at least. It was nice, but now, no. I barely see him at all. Stone Edge gonna take out the Greedent here, Annihilape's coming in, and the opponent throws energy, and I'm like, well, you're either trying to stall your Switch Clock or you have Earthquake. So I'm gonna let it go and save the shield for Pidgeot. The opponent has a Venusaur in the back, and because of the farm I was able to get with Annihilape, I'm going to go for the Ice Punch and then go into my Pidgeot to wrap up this game. Same thing as we saw earlier with that Alolan Sand Slash. Even though the opponent does resist the flying type damage, I will be able to take them and do quite a bit of meaningful damage with these Brave Birds, as they still do damage even though they're resisted. I'm going to go for the Feather Dance here just before the opponent gets to another Sludge Bomb, and I'm going to look to go for as many Brave Birds as I can before they can KO me here. Opponent, maybe they're going to have to shield something here, as these counters are going to take them out otherwise. And unfortunate for the opponent here, they were basically hard countered in the front and in the back, and I just happen to have a good answer for the Galvantula. So opponent knows it's over, they just keep farming, and that's a good game. Well played. Loving this team, honestly. It felt very strong. I only had the chance to play 2 sets today with it. Or I guess today is not when I played these sets on Sunday. I only had the chance and time to play 2, but it was a really strong team as long as I didn't hit those triple hard counter for Annihilape teams, and Pidgeot just absolutely ripping this meta apart right now. So let me know in the comments if you try this team and if it's any good, or if you have another Annihilape team in the Ultra League that you like. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and we'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.